kendi iç aleminde farklı güzel duygular. Ama hep güzel duygular.
Everybody's feelings are differ from person to person. It's all good feelings, but the strength of the feelings vary from person to person.
Müthiş bir şekilde bir deşarj vardır, bir rahatlık vardır.
And also you feel very, very peaceful, very, very relaxed.
Yani değişir değil mi ya?
But it says it changes from person to person.
Her penceresinin büyüdüğünde güneş alır.
And also, he says like they all study the philosophy, so they all learn. But he says every house has a window, and every house receives sunlight. But every house receives sunlight in accordance to their windows.
Nasıl?
Some more light, some less light.
Dilin tat alması farklı. Herkes farklı bir tat alır.
And also he says like everybody's the taste of tongue vary from person to person. Some people like the taste of something, some people like it less, some people like it more. So it also varies from person to person.
Tamamen bir damak zevki yani kalp zevki bu da.
Does it take a lot of training to not feel dizzy and
Başka
unbalanced?
milleti için uzun bir süre yapıyor mu?
Tabii önce niçin döndüğünüzü öğreniyorsun.
He says that the most important thing is learning the philosophy. Why you are learning.
Sonra fiziksel olay başlıyor.
Then it starts the physical part.
Kapasitenizle
But he
alakalı
says
bir
this
iki
is just the showroom. This is like the showroom of the philosophy. So I mean, a person who's not capable of whirling doesn't mean cannot become a dervish. You learn the philosophy, but it varies from person to person. But normally normally it goes around 1 to 2 years. But from every 20 people who try to whirl, just 1 or 2 of them get successful.
Yani bu da şu manaya gelir, 2-3 kişinin öğrendiği, yani 20 kişiden söyledim zaten. Yani her felsefeye giren öğrenecekleri bir...
But it's not compulsory to learn the whirling. I mean, it requires very, very high concentration, the combination of physical ability and spiritual ability together. But it requires very, very high level of concentration, so not everyone can do that.
When you're chanting and singing, is that in Turkish or Arabic?
Dua ederken, dönerken Türkçe mi, Arapça mı?
Burada komplesini söyleyeyim. 3 tane Arapça Kur'an okundu.
At the end, they read some prayers from the Quran.
Osmanlıca.
But they used also Ottoman,
Farsça.
so in Persian, Turkish and Arabic combinations. So dua ederken so they prayed for everyone for the souls of everyone who lived in the past, everybody who are living today, and everybody who will live in the future. And they pray also for all the prophets, Prophet Muhammad, Prophet Jesus, Moses, all prophets they
Allah
prayed.
bütün dilleri ve kalpleri biliyor zaten.
And he says like God knows all the hearts and all the tongues.
And since when have they been doing the dances? Which year did it start, or which century, or when did they start?
It started in 12th century, 13th century. 1225'te başladı zaten sema.
1225 şöyle. Şimdi Mevlana'nın 12. yüzyılı biliyorsun. 1207-1273 yılın tarihi. Ondan sonra başlıyor ama oğlu Sultan Veled zamanında.
His son Sultan Veled
bu şekli almış ve devam ediyor.
in his period after Mevlana it took this shape, but still in 13th century. After Mevlana died, 1273.
O zamandan beri bu şekil.
But from that time they've been doing it this way. Yes.
We spoke about the use of symbolism and anecdotes to portray teachings. I'm wondering if your friend can share his personal favorite, maybe. Anecdote. If he has a personal favorite anecdote that he would be able to share with us, what that is.
Senin paylaşmak istediğin, kendine özel yaşadığın herhangi bir şey var mı?
Çok şey var da işte sonunda bir iki laf söyleyeyim onları. Sonra devam eder misin?
He says, I can do that also, but there are so many things to explain. But like, I think he didn't understand what exactly I requested.
Oh, like when you said, someone chases the shadow and they'll never reach the shadow.
Ben mesela diyorum tam bir güneş olarak. mali
Mesela
zenginliği
buradaki sembolleri de
olarak.
öyledir. Mevlana makamı ve
Yok,
güneştir.
ben bunları hep şeyi anlatıyorum mesela. Tanrı, güneş, zenginlik, gölge ama birçok insan Tanrı'ya arkasını dönüp zenginliği kovalıyor. Halbuki yüzünü Tanrı'ya dönse zenginlik onu
O
kovalayacak. Yani ona
O çok
benzer.
güzel şeyler. Ben Mevlana mesleğinin dışına pek çıkmak istemiyorum. Ha hikayeler anlatırım ama
He
zaman
says that I can tell you a lot of stories, but do you have time? Because it will take hours and hours.
Felsefenin bir ana temasını hep söylerim. Onu söyleyeyim mesela. Şeydir, bildiriz ya, yaratıcı dediğiniz
He says like our main philosophy is God
Allah-
is creator.
yaratıcıdır, anadır. Yani bir yerde, yani ana da yaratmanın sebebidir biliyorsunuz insan.
And God is beautiful, God is correct. So everything that is created by the creator
Yaratan
is
güzelse
also beautiful.
yaratılanların hepsi güzel.
So he says we love the created because of the creator.
O yüzden din, dil, ırk, canlı ayrımı yapmadan
And
sevmek
also,
lazım.
I mean, in this philosophy, he says the main basement is do not make any discrimination according to race or language or ethnic background or religious
Bu
background.
felsefede de
That's why Mevlana says, come whoever you are, whatever you have done, because this is not a religion, this is just a philosophy for reaching God. And in this philosophy, the meaning of God is love.
nasıl görmeniz gerektiğini belki de nasıl bakmanız gerektiğini öğretiyor size bir yerde.
So he says like looking and seeing are two different things.
Güzel bakmak,
So
güzel
this is
görmek.
just like helping you seeing the beauty when you look.
Yani o köpek olayını biliyor musunuz? Anlattınız mı hiç? Sokakta yürü öğrencileriyle beraber bir tane ölmüş köpek. Çok kokar biliyorsunuz. Ölmüş bir köpek harbiden çok kokar. Öğrenciler hepsi burnunu falan
Hazreti
kapatıyor.
Mevlana.
Tabii ki.
He says that Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi, one day when he's walking on the street with his students, they see a dead street dog on the street. And when the dog dies and stays for a while, it smells terrible. So all his students close their
Onda
noses.
hiçbir kaçış yoktur ya da burnunu kapatma yoktur. Bakar der ki bakın ne güzel dişleri var.
And he doesn't close his nose, or he walks close to the dog and he says, look how beautiful his teeth are.
Ölmüş köpek tabii hakikaten güzel, çok güzel. Yani o çirkinliği içinde güzelliği görebilmek.
So he says like even the ugliest thing in the world has a beauty in it. And it's seeing the beauty in it is the important thing, he says.
When they're learning this philosophy, do they go to college? Do they become full-time students, or do they live their lives and just do this?
Oh, they never separate themselves from the community. So this is a hard thing. So in their spare time, they learn the philosophy. So they get married. For instance, Nusret is married. He has 3 children. And he's an old carpet repairer himself. Another dervish I know is an account manager. Another one is a peasant. Another one is teaching in the university. But they never say outside. I mean, outside, after like half an hour, when you see my friend Nusret outside, you cannot recognize him because he dresses up just like us. And they never worked as missionaries. They don't work as missionaries because they believe that it's the person who should feel something missing inside himself or herself, and the person look for the dervishes, not the dervishes look for them. So it's compulsory for every dervish to teach the philosophy, whoever wants to learn, without asking for anything. But if you ask a dervish, how can I find dervishes? He wouldn't say, I am a dervish. He would direct you to another dervish. So that's why it's impossible to know how many dervishes there are in the world.
How do you become a dervish? And once you become a dervish, are you always a dervish, or do you have to be a practicing dervish to be a dervish?
Nasıl derviş oluyorsun diyor ve derviş olduktan sonra gene sema yapman veya bir şeyler yapman gerekiyor mu derviş olarak?
Bir kere hiçbir koşul yok. Yani
He says that there is absolutely no requirements for becoming a
öyle bir
dervish.
misyonumuz var ki her isteyene sırf semayı değil, bu bilgileri vermekle mükellef.
And he says that, as I mentioned you before, it's compulsory for them to teach the philosophy, everything, whoever wants to learn it.
Ondan sonrası da yani hep kapasite işleri bu işler. Yaşayabildiğiniz ölçüde.
And also he says
Yani
the
bir zorlama
rest
falan
depends on the person's capacity. So, I mean, you cannot fill,
Ne
it says, a
yapabiliyorsun?
glass more than its capacity. So, it varies from person to person. And after you become a dervish, this is not a religion. So, this is not like Muslims pray 5 times a day. Or as Christians, we go to church on Sunday. Or the Jewish people go to synagogue on Saturday. I mean, they set the time and
Biz
place.
dindeyiz zaten.
And this is not a religion. So they can leave if they don't want to be part of that. It's something from heart you do it, volunteer what you do.
So women also become.
There are also female dervishes, but the only difference is because of the physical appearance, female dervishes cannot whirl in front of men, while men can whirl in front of everyone. That's the only difference.
Is there an age, a minimum age that people can become?
Başlamak için bir yaş var mı diyor veya şey.
O da değişiyor yani kişiden kişiye değişiyor ama bu felsefeyi algılayabilecek yaşta olmalısınız.
It
Soruda yok.
says that they recommend people to be at the age that they can understand the philosophy. So they they recommend people to be mature, but he also says that also varies from person to person. So he says like some people get mature even at the age of 5, and some people don't get mature even at the age of 65. So that varies from person to
Ama şey
person.
olarak 70 yaşındaki insanlar da bu semayı yapabiliyorlar.
But there are also dervishes who do the whirling at the age of 70. So it's also changing from
Çok
person
rahat
to person.
yapabiliyorlar yani. Bu bir dans değil. O
Because it's not a dance, it's a philosophy. So there are people who do that at the age of 70.
If the parents are dervishes, would the children automatically be called dervishes?
No, because this is not something compulsory coming from heart.
Okay.
So for instance, Nusret is the head of the dervishes here. And he has 3 children. And none of them has anything to do with Sufism.
Okay.
So it's something that you want to do or you don't want to do.
How do you become the head of the dervishes in a certain
Nasıl
area?
dervişlerin başı oluyorsunuz diye soruyor.
Yani bildiğiniz, birikiminiz, topluma olan faydası öyle. Bu
He says that I did not become the leader or head of the dervishes. Your experience, your knowledge, and what your contribution to the community just takes you to that place. Not I became the leader, he says.
When the dervishes came in, they bowed that way. Is that like Islam? Is that east?
Burası Mekke'ye doğru mu diyor?
hayır,
Yani-
hayır. Şurası Bakar ama. O makam Mevlana'nın.
No, this is just symbolizing, since this is not a religion. For instance, there is a Brazilian Catholic lady I know who's been here for kaç senedir burada abi?
O bir seneyi geçti. Yani.
More than 1 year, and she's learning the philosophy. So this says you don't have to be a Muslim or Christian, but the head over there is symbolizing Mevlana.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, there is a hat there and a red post,
Yes.
which symbolizes the position of Mevlana. Yes.
The hat, he wearing a light one, and there was one person there, he had a darker one. Is that something special?
No, it's just felt, so it just depends on the god they've chosen to be. It symbolizes the tombstone of the ego.
Rengi farklı olabilir.
Onun bir şey yok, keçiden keçiye değişiyor.
İşte usta, yapan usta biraz daha uzun yapabilir. Kısa
He says also it changes not only from god to god, but also from the master to master. Some make it a little bit taller, some make it a little bit shorter, but it doesn't have any significance, he says.
Thank you.
Yes ma'am.
How do you learn the philosophy?
Filozofiyi nasıl öğreniyorsunuz diyor.
Yani yavaş.
Yani nasıl öğrenebilirim anlamında soruyor.
Mesneviyle başlar zaten genelde divanı çevirir. Eserleri Mevlana
They all recommend people who want to learn the philosophy to get the poetry book of Mevlana, Mesnevi, and also
Divan-ı
just
Kebir var,
reading
diğer
that.
eserler
And there are many books. I mean,
Artı sohbetlerimiz olur. Bir araya geliriz isteyen onlarla
he says that today he says world got smaller. There is a lot of useful information books on internet. He says Amazon.com. So I mean we can get books. But also he says we meet whenever time is available and we talk about God for hours
Her
and
zaman yeni bir şey
hours.
öğreniyorsunuz.
And he says every day he says we learn something new.
Mesnevi'nin çok özel bir durumu vardır. aynı hikayeyi bir kere okursunuz, başka bir şey anlarsınız. İkinci okuruşta
But he
başka bir
says
şey
the
anlarsınız.
special thing about
2-3
Mesnevi, the book of Mevlana, is you
2-3
read it
farklı
once
mana çıkarabilirsiniz.
and you understand one thing, and later after a while you read it again and you understand something else. So you can take 2, 3, 5 different meanings from that. I mean, every day, I mean, he says, learning is a continuous process. So also, I mean, before my daughter was born, I didn't know about eagle, piggle, upsy daisy, or so, but now I learned it all. So I mean, we all learn every day.
How do they assess you to become, whether it's qualified to teach somebody else?
Peki birine öğretme yetisini nasıl şey yapıyorsunuz diyor.
İşte dernek, eskiden bir sürü takkeler var, şimdi derneklerimiz var.
So he says today we have
Gelen
foundations
insanlara her halükarda yardımcı
and they
oluyoruz.
help everyone that comes there.
Onun kapasitesine bakıyoruz.
And depending on
Neyin
the
ne zaman
capacity of the person, but your knowledge and your effort bring you somewhere.
For the musicians, do they already know how to play those instruments, or do they learn that as part of the philosophy training as well?
Bu müzikal aletleri çalmayı biliyorlar mıydı yoksa sonradan mı öğrendiler diyor.
Sonra da öğrenene bir kural yok öyle yani.
He says there is no rule for that. Some knew to play some instruments,
Zaten
some
bunlar
learned it
çoğalabilir,
later on.
azalabilir. Neydi
But
kudüm? Vazgeçilmez şeyler.
he says that their instruments they use all the time is the flute and the drum, but the other ones you can put more of them, less of them. They can also whirl without music, but they use the music to increase concentration.
Yardımcı faktör burada.
So it's just helping them to concentrate more, and they can also whirl alone, or they can whirl with 500 people. It changes. But I always, this is a very frequent last question, and I like his answer. And when we ask him that, he always asks our group, do you enjoy Turkey?
Yes.
And also, then afterwards, he asks, would you like it more or less if you were here alone? I mean, when you are with friends, you enjoy it more. So I mean, the dervishes say that the joys increase, multiply when you share it, and the sadnesses decrease when you share it. So the most important point is sharing. Any other questions, dear guests? Of course.
Artı onu söyleyeyim bir daha.
Ha, onu anlattım ben.
Anlattın mı?
Karşı
Söyledim. Onu
anlatmadım.
söyleyeyim. İşte Mekke.
But he just wants, Nusret wants to add something, has a request from you, from all of us. Evet abi.
Kabe'de Mekke var.
He says that in Islam, for instance, because Nusret himself is a Muslim,
İbrahim zamanında
and also
değişmiş insanlar hep
for
yapmışlar.
the
Sonuçta
Muslims,
insanlar
the
yapmış hep
most
bunu.
special place, the most important
Hazreti
place